noticed when we first came in touch with Olivia, she hopped on the bus and off we went. And when we first had a need for a toilet stop, Eddie, China is not that advanced, and the girls went into their side, the boys went in the other side, and we were waiting for the girls to come out, and where were they? Anyway, next thing we see, Olivia's got these long tissues coming out of his nostrils, and hopped on the bus and kept them in for the next 10 minutes. So she really broke the ice, and
everyone just enjoyed her wonderful company.
Yeah, pretty smelly, those fellas.
She's a wonderful person, Olivia Newton-John. What she's done with the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Hospital is just sensational. Andrew's your son. G'day, Andrew.
Eddie.
How are you, buddy?
Yeah, good mate.
Is he going to win?
Pretty exciting here, guys. I don't know whether anyone's watching.
This one?
My other son.
The other son?
Yeah, pressure's on, Eddie.
All right, well, geez, you guys just turn up and win the money. Let's go. $10,000.
G'day, Natasha, Catherine, Joe Graham, Peter.
A. James Patterson. B. Frederick Backman. C. David Lagerkrantz. D. David Baldacci.
Wow. Definitely don't know it. Girl on the Spiders list.
10.
I'm going to go for C, Eddie.
How you going, Catherine?
Correct.
Vicky.
$10,000.
Oof. Too easy. Can you hear me?
Well, the book follows on from the girl who kicked the hornet's nest and is the first in the series not written by Larson, who has died. Like Larson, Lagerkrantz is also a journalist. Derek Gibbons.
No, you're too clever, Catherine.
For being here on the show. Lucy, you used to win $20,000.
What happens if I go like that? Oh no.
You ready?
Ready?
No,
Who performed the theme song for the 1997 James Bond film Tomorrow Never Dies? A. Sheryl Crow. B. Gwen Stefani. C. Alanis Morissette. D. Jewel.
Well, had a
97.
G'day, Irene. Oh, come on. Think about it, Graham. We've got 7 listening at the moment. I should have got the event out a bit earlier.
Tomorrow Never Dies. 1997.
15.
What do you reckon, guys? What's the answer?
10.
Catherine, what are you going to go?
Just have to keep going with that thought, I think, Eddie.
Quick, what one in?
A.
Locked in with the second on the clock. Right. Don't leave it. Well, we did leave it the last second. Sheryl Crow, whose famous husband was
Lance Armstrong.
He was. Who performed the theme song for the 1997 James Bond film Tomorrow Never Dies? It was Sheryl Crow.
Yes! Great. Oh dear. What's going to happen, guys? Lisa,
Lucy, so close, but yet so
good to
far.
see you've joined.
Great to have had you on here. Graham, you won $1,000.
Oh dear. Pressure's on.
60 years of age.
Hot seat.
Father of the 2 boys who said, Andrew, who was with us today, and Christopher, who won 20 grand on the show. Twice divorced, 3rd time lucky coming up. It says here, is that right?
Well, you got to keep your options open.
You're going to be, that's it. 60 years of age, living out of French Island. What are you doing there?
Well, I've been growing medicinal herbs, comfrey mainly, which would be good for your football club. Solves a lot of bruises and aches and pains. So,
is that for the president or for the players?
Well, you're probably getting a bit of arthritis soon, so
thank you. Something to look forward to. Thanks, Graham. Great. Yeah. What are you going to do with $50,000?
Straight to Jayco, and we'll get a nice second-hand camper van, and we'll trip up and down the coast. But first, I'll take Andrew to Copenhagen, to where my oldest son has been. We haven't had enough money to go there. He's been there for 18 months. So.
Yeah, I could tell by your reaction that this $50,000 means a bit to you.
Yeah, I haven't got any at the moment. I've had a lot of money at different times in my life, but I actually don't have any, so it does mean a hell of a lot.
And
I'm going to try hard.
Hey, Andrew, how good would be good over and catch up with Chris, your brother?
That'd be great, yeah, absolutely.
The three boys on safari. Whereabouts in Copenhagen is that?
Well, right in the heart, yeah.
Good on
He
you.
works for the oil and gas company over there, yeah.
Graham, good luck. We're going to catch up with what's
Irene.
happening in the world with our news break. When we come back for the trip of a
Ah.
lifetime, back up on his feet, we'll be playing for $50,000.
Oh my God. What's going to happen, guys? What's going to happen? Well, we're going to put the billionaire hot seat shortly with Dr. John Cunningham. How are we, Julie? And Catherine's asking, did I win? Well, as if I'm going to tell you, Andrew's just joined. Starting to get a bit exciting now. I'm getting hot and sweaty. And I know the answer, and it would be nice to go to Copenhagen. And actually, I should get the book out. This book is actually written by the co-founder of the Cochrane Collaboration. So guess where he's housed? And you guessed it, Denmark. So Catherine, please, patience. Hey, this is good, these comments. I don't think I noticed them, or maybe I wasn't focusing last time I've done these live. So that's good that you're actually commenting. I'll start weaving that in now. Too handsome, yeah. I put on about 5K actually. I was pretty. I just finished the Australian Track Championships then in my track cycling, and I look pretty fit. So here we go.
12, come on, 10. Tell me, what do you think?
What's the answer, girls? Boys?
I got my first sword, Ed, which is magnetic force.
4 seconds.
A, Ed.
A with the second on the clock. Graham, it's radioactivity.
Shit.
Henri Becquerel, who discovered
Bugger.
spontaneous radioactivity, the French scientist in
Bugger.
1903. He and Marie and Pierre Curie jointly awarded the Nobel Prize for their work in radioactivity. Sorry, mate, nearly got there. $1,000. Great. Sorry, mate. Graham Little just won $1,000. See this one in a minute. Hot seat. Good night.
Hot and sweaty in the hot seat, Andrew. Oh, well, bugger. Charlie, we didn't make it. Monster killers. We're back. We're still on. We're switching from one medium to another. Now we've turned channel 9 off, and so close. Somebody's just said I was awesome, so bloody close. Well, I don't pay out on being so bloody close. Natasha Hunter Quinlan, who knows that? Yeah, it was a toughie. I should have known that because I've been in the mining game a bit, and look, I researched it in Wikipedia. It didn't come up to about page 4, so it was just one of those questions. But look, I was really lucky to get the other two. I sort of knew the Sheryl Crow one. The first one was a bit lucky. That's interesting. It still keeps going on Facebook Live if someone rings me. So there you go. That was Damien Wood, who gave me advice, by the way, to pass early. So thank you, Damien. You told me to make sure I passed around $1,200 to $1,500, and that gave me my best possible chance. Interestingly, when I went in, there were 8 sessions that were being filmed on the one day, and my plan was to be number 2. I wanted to be the second one along in the second show, so I could get out of the way. Didn't want to be the first show, didn't have to wait all day. And I actually got the second show, the 3rd seat. So I went 1 seat, from what I meditated the night before. So when I got to the 50,000, I thought, look, this is a certainty. He's going to give me an easy question. I'm just going to go, Ed, lock it in and take the 50 grand. Not to be. So the irony about actually listening to that again, and thanks, Andrew, when I get the $1,000, we might have a drink, mate. And Vicky, thank you. And Irene, and Sean. The interesting thing is that my son lives currently in the hotbed for the gold standard evidence base actually being used against natural therapies, would you believe? So 2 reasons I wanted to go to Copenhagen. It's now 2 years my son's been there. I mean, normally in the old days I would have been there every month. But in the no money phase I'm in now and fightingpharmacorruption.com, when you're just tuning in, fightpharmacorruption.com, you'll hear all about what I'm trying to do. The essence of the fight against the big pharmaceutical companies started in Copenhagen when Peter Gotski, the man that wrote this book, that's probably around the wrong way. Is that better? I'm not too sure how this works. Some people have said that it goes the wrong way when you do this. I think that's right. It's Deadly Medicines and Organised Crime. You can Google him, Peter Gotski, Gotzsche. He co-founded the Cochrane Collaboration Review, the peak gold standard where they review all the medical trials. They've done about 9,500 reviews, just about all these drugs you're on, or maybe no friends are on. They have been reviewed by this independent body, Cochrane Collaboration, co-founded by Peter Gotski in Denmark. So I'm hoping we can raise some money on my GoFundMe site to still get to Cochrane over in Denmark and meet the team there that is making Big Pharma accountable. His first book was entitled, this is Peter Gotski, How Big Pharma Has Corrupted Healthcare. It's an extraordinary book. You don't need to buy it though. You please buy it if you would for Peter. But he's got a lot of YouTubes and he's an extraordinary man. And recently, and this is the main reason I want to go, there's been a very major Cochrane review requested of the Gardasil vaccination, and that's been affecting all the teenage from probably 10, 11, 12, 13 up. We are the first country to trial it on boys, by the way. The Cochrane Collaboration have got a serious question mark against the efficacy and safety of this incredible vaccine. And there's been numerous adverse events reported, and in fact a lot of court action going on in Japan at the moment on the Gardasil. So it'd be great to get to Copenhagen. So I might put up a suggested itinerary. I'll travel economy and get my little my stockings on, because I did get a deep vein thrombosis once travelling economy back from the Athens Olympics actually in '04, which launched me into hyperbaric oxygen therapy, strangely enough, and there's a bit of a link from what I wanted to talk about in a minute with that. So in fact there's a link with his Peter Gotski's first book. So let's hope I can get, I couldn't get it via Eddie, but let's hope the Natural Therapies Network might be able to find a way to get me there. Brandy Vaughan, I think, might be there soon, the big whistleblower in the world. I say she's the number one because single-handedly she whistleblew when she worked for Merck, the very big drug company that's got a mortgage on the MMR vaccine and a lot of other vaccines. Vioxx was not a vaccine, but she was a whistleblower in that particular drug, and it turned out to be an absolute nightmare for Merck. And she's a very courageous lady, and cost Merck settlements, corruption cases run by the US Department of Justice. Yes, they're a pretty big play. They took on Merck and won, and so Merck paid out something like $6 billion, combination of government fines and also private actions. So she's campaigning, Brandy, and we're going to bring her to Australia during Cup Week. She's campaigning in Europe now shortly, and she's been going all around the US on learn the risks. Learn the risks. She's focusing on vaccination, but I say learn the risks of all drugs. And in fact, there's 700 drugs in the US that have got a serious black box warning, okay? If I had something black, I'd show you. Well, that's black the book. And we ignore these warnings in Australia, one of which was Risperdal, that catapulted me into lobbying our federal government. Exactly a year tomorrow, they actually banned Risperdal for dementia, 2 categories of dementia, after a private campaign I ran. Now, that drug in particular had a black box warning in the US, and we just ignore the fact that it's banned there and creates death risks for our dementia patients in Australia. We didn't say anything for 10 years, so not surprising that dementia is number 2 killer. So Cochrane is also pretty scathing about Risperdal, I might add. So we're now 6:06. Some of you have been hanging on a little bit too long, but I did want to follow up on last night's Facebook Live, and we were talking there about making Dr. John Cunningham, one of the Friends of Science in Medicine, accountable We've got lights there in the background. It's a bit annoying for some. Making the Friends of Science in Medicine accountable to their own doctrines. They have a very fixed doctrine. But unfortunately, they have a different way when you or I challenge them. Now, let me summarise the 3-point doctrine they've got. They say to do any form of medical intervention in Australia, you need to have evidence-based science of the highest quality. They refer to the Cochrane Collaboration Reviews, the recognised global highest standard where they review all the medical trials, and they regularly use the Cochrane to destroy natural therapies. Okay, so peak Cochrane evidence, number one. Number two, use it against natural therapies. And number three, whenever I or anyone else raises the possibility of Cochrane evidence being used against mainstream medicine interventions, the answer is always the same: silence. They'll never touch it. And then they move to the final punchline, which they do very, very well, and that is insult you. So last night, the Facebook Live got banned by Facebook because all I put up was Dr. John Cunningham and an obnoxious prick. Now, of course, I was the obnoxious prick, he said yesterday, because I challenged him through a series of about 15 emails asking him, would the Friends of Science in Medicine now use the Cochrane Collaboration against their own peer group? In other words, the cancer post I put up recently where the doctors in West Australia's public hospital took on parents who did not want their 6-year-old brain cancer boy having chemo put on, and they took the doctors, the hospital, the AMA was supportive, no doubt the government health department. They took on the parents in the family court, and the chief judge said, you must have Cochrane. Wrong, you must have chemo. Unfortunately, no one mentioned that there was a Cochrane review. They're all very silent that time. They wanted the chemo poured into this 6-year-old boy. They medically kidnapped him, and the Cochrane said it was no better than placebo. Now, had that been a natural therapy treatment, it'd be all over Four Corners, Channel 7, Channel 9 News. But because it was chemotherapy, you can do what you like. Give it to the 6-year-old boy. Don't worry about the peak science, and let's be very supportive. So, Dr. John Cunningham went on the offensive again today, and he went on to LinkedIn. And I'll tell you what he said today. The punchline about me, let me get it up, was it wasn't very nice. It was, you are a liar and an obnoxious prick today. So he's raised the bar again. It's not entirely obvious. I showed his email to someone, and I'll probably put it in a post now tonight. I'm not quite sure what he's on about, but he's the peak man in the Friends of Science in Medicine, and he also is the spokesman for the there's an organisation called Stop the Anti-Vaccination Network. I might not have quite got that right. He's the key spokesman, even though he's an orthopaedic surgeon, so I'm not sure why his qualifications in the arena of immunisation are. It's all been in surgery. Let me also, he also runs an alias in it. This is quite interesting to tune in. This is late breaking news. He doesn't like, he won't confirm definitely, but we do know that it is him. He often puts social media comments up, and this time it's under JC Big Ears. That's JC BIGEARS. And he made this comment about the president of the Australian Vaccination Network, Tasha Davids. And it says, it's not surprising. Tasha's got 8 children, 6 of whom are vaccine damaged, 2 of which have autism, and the final 2 did not receive vaccinations, and they're very healthy. This is what Dr. John Cunningham said under an alias, JC Big Ears. It's not surprising that Tasha doesn't discuss the fact that her healthy children have a different father than the other sick ones, and that it is more likely that they are suffering from a genetic disorder passed down from their father than anything to do with vaccination. That wouldn't fit in with her particular brand of I cannot say. So there he is, he's having a crack at the paternity of poor Tasha's 7th and 8th children. That's how low he goes. And I've only got one question for John. every time we talk, John, it's the same question. When are the Friends of Science in Medicine going to be accountable to the Cochrane collaboration reviews on your own backyard or your peer group that are getting maybe hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars out of the billion-dollar pot from the National Health and Research Medical Council every year? So we're now having billionaire hot seat. John Cunningham is the first in the billionaire hot seat, where all our gravy train money goes from the government, and we'll just take one friend of science at a time. Hard to choose the next one is probably Professor John Dwyer. I apologise, John, you're the president, but I think Dr. John, you did. John Dwyer didn't call me an obnoxious prick, so I thought I'd start with Dr. Cunningham. And happy to debate live the issue of whether the Friends want to make Cochrane accountable to mainstream medicine. You won't be getting me calling you any names, Dr. John. And if anyone wants to follow up any more information, have a look at the website, www.phparma, spelled P-H-A-R-M-A, corruption.com. Or you can go to my Facebook page, which is under Peter Little, Peter being my birth name, I'm adopted, and Graham was my adoptive name. So it is a bit confusing, but bear with me. And we also have something new. I just thought, well, seeing we're on the Millionaire Hot Seat tonight, I thought I'd start a Facebook page called Like Natural Therapy. So if you've had a natural therapy, in other words, like a massage or chiro, osteopath, Chinese medicine, Reiki, iridology, naturopathy, many others, homeopathy, myotherapy, and so on. If you just want to tick that Facebook page, that'd be great. That's all you have to do. So let's just see how many people actually like natural therapies. I mean, it doesn't have to go anywhere. It'd just be interesting, I think, for us to see, because they're under attack. They're seriously under attack. I say the state-based legislation introduced state by state has effectively prohibited them because, this is natural health practitioners, because the legislation says, this new legislation been in Queensland recently, South Australia since 2014, New South Wales since 2012. I've just had a meeting this morning with the number one bureaucrat for Minister Hennessy, the Victorian Health Minister. More on that in a second post. The Victorian Act now, the Victorian Health Complaints Act, will now start, I've been told, 1 February 2017. That's the start date, and I'm afraid there's a killer clause in it, and I've pointed it out to them again today, the bureaucrats, the very good hearing, that I don't feel any practitioner can satisfy this mandatory code, because it says you have to be able to substantiate the clinical efficacy of your treatments, whether you make that claim in person or whether it's on your website or in your promotional material. And unfortunately, the federal government, through the NHMRC, the National Health and Medical Research Council that hands out the $1 billion in science grants, they did 2 bad reviews last year. I say fraudulent methodology and massive conflict of interest, and I say corruption on the committees. And I guess what? Friends of Science, naughty. I say that'll all come out soon, and you'll realise that the conclusions in those reviews, that there was no scientific evidence to substantiate the clinical efficacy of 17 natural therapies. That's what our federal government ruled last year. That is a killer conclusion for every state-based health complaints hearing, and hopefully we can get all that overturned with your help and with your patients' help. If you're a practitioner, make sure your patients are alerted to this problem that we have with the agenda to stop you practicing your natural therapy. It's very real. Have a look at the Friends of Science in Medicine website. It's called scienceinmedicine.org. Have a look at Cochrane.org, COCHRANE.org. Type in any treatments you're getting. Learn for yourself what the independent trials are saying and compare it to what your doctors are saying. And then if there's a difference, make sure you contact me, because there's a lot of action steps that'll flow. So Graham Little, near Peter Pope, signing off. This is actually my 8th Facebook Live. I thought it was my 7th, but I counted them up. It's actually number 8. And I didn't win the 50,000, but hopefully we can get there to Copenhagen soon. and bring the Cochrane collaboration people into the fight against the lack of proven and safe vaccines we've got in this country, where we've totally excluded the mandatory requirements for every other standard. Guess what? In the immunisation handbook, they've totally ignored all the mandatory standards that apply to everybody else. So it's the lowest standard I've seen, unfortunately, and they're giving it to 13-year-old boys and girls out there who are on social media. And I've got a little website lined up for you. So I've gone on a bit long, but look, you don't get on Eddie's show too often, so I'm rambling on. I appreciate you tuning in, and please share this with anyone that you think is appropriate, because we're in a very big war, I'm afraid, and all of Eddie's players have to be on natural therapy. So do our Olympians. They're all on natural therapies. So why are we smashing them? And I've got many of them linked in with me, so you might be hearing from some of our Olympians soon coming back from Brazil on Facebook Live, and that'd be pretty exciting, wouldn't it? So, signing off, and see you on www.fightpharmacorruption.com, or possibly on the Friends of Science in Medicine's Facebook page, more and more. Bye now.